If you've reached that phase we call midlife, you've probably made a lot of sacrifices along the way for those you love. Maybe you passed on many social invitations in order to climb the corporate ladder. Maybe you gave up a career to be a room mom and field trip chaperone for your kids' class. Maybe you juggled family and career and household responsibilities and never gave a second thought to that dream you held long ago to be a ballroom dancer. Whatever it is that stirs an old familiar feeling inside, the one that ignites passion and excites dormant parts of your being, it's easy to lose touch with that sensation when everyday life gets overwhelming. Often, it isn't until life starts to slow down a little or the demands of a day take on a rhythm where you have space to breathe that you dare to let that dream rise up again. It's a thrill you haven't had in far too long. And before you can even get your feet wet in that pool, you shut it down. Why? Because it's self-indulgent. Because it's too late. Because you have too many other responsibilities and obligations. Because. Or maybe you aren't even overcome with other things demanding your time, energy, and attention. Maybe you just reconciled yourself to the idea that being creative is an indulgence and it's just not practical. That's what your 20s are for before life gets real and bills come due. But is it really? Studies have shown that exploring some sort of creative expression is expansive to the mind and makes us more effective in all endeavors. That doesn't sound like a frivolity to me. That sounds like empowerment. And while I'm talking a lot about creative expression that most will interpret as something in the arts, it is far more than that. If you are creating a new resource or tool, a new experience, a new way of seeing the world, you are creative. Midlife Capers is all about giving people a permission structure to investigate the multitude of layers that make up the whole of who they are. A significant portion of my client base is people in retirement who are checking off the write a book bullet point in their bucket list. And while I absolutely adore this aspect of my work and I'm so grateful for the privilege to guide them in realizing their dreams, I want to use some of my time to encourage my peers to do something brave, something a little daring, something that challenges them in a different way, and to take on a new adventure. I don't want anyone to think they have to wait until retirement, until they're late in life to pick up that bucket. I know this is where the inner mean girl gets loud about how you look ridiculous, how you're being selfish, how you've waited too long, and how no one cares. This is your permission to tell her to sit down and shut up. I'm giving you permission to give yourself permission to expand your horizons. Maybe literally, but definitely figuratively. Enriching yourself on a soul level and getting to know the deeper parts of you that have been neglected will never take away from those who rely on you. Not if you're doing it honestly. And I wager it will improve the way you show up for them going forward. I carried a lot of burdens throughout my adult years. And when I created space for part of that load to be my own creative expression, I gained more clarity of purpose. And that has allowed me to expand what I do and how I do it, and hopefully have a greater impact on the lives I touch in positive ways. Yes, I've battled guilt over scaling back the number of individual clients I help, but I recognize that I can reach more people through this new approach, and that makes it okay for me. No is so easy at times, just rolling off our tongues when it comes to anything extra. Finding our way to yes requires a permission structure where we recognize that when we show up for ourselves in a more genuine and tender way, we have better to give those around us. I hope you will take a moment now to consider these questions. What is your dream deferred? Have you cast aside an idea because you think it doesn't fit with your life? Is that really true, or is that an excuse? What dream or interest would you reclaim right now if time and money were not a barrier? How can you explore that on a smaller scale where time and money are not a factor? Can you give yourself permission to try?